setting it up on YouTube right now.
And just a quick question, which I'm not completely sure. The order that we're presenting on is the one that shows in the pictures?
Yes, correct.
Okay, that's what. Just making sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
And, left to right, right? We're not switching weird ways.
Left to right, yeah.
Okay. And just a quick question, which I'm not completely sure. The order that we're presenting on is the one that shows in the pictures?
Yes, correct.
Okay, that's what. Making sure. Thanks. Yeah. Left to right, right? We're not switching weird ways.
Left to right, yeah.
Okay. And just a quick question.
Okay, good. All right, so YouTube is up and running. I'm just going to add that link to all right, great. Okay, so I hope everybody's ready because I am. Well, hello and welcome everybody. Welcome today to EFL Talks. I'm Rob Howard and very happy to be back in Ecuador once again. This is my, well, I'd say third visit, but you know, I've been there a few more times virtually, but I've been once to Guayaquil and I love your country and you people are wonderful. And I'm so happy to be doing this today for everybody here in Ecuador with my very dear, dear friend, Elizabeth Ortiz. And I'd like to thank Elizabeth. Elizabeth did all the organizing, got all the speakers for us today. She's one of EFL Talks' biggest fans, and she's been a great supporter for us over the years. So everybody, a big round of applause for Elizabeth right away. And we'll hear from Elizabeth in a few minutes. And what I'd like to do is first, before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about EFL Talks for those of you who may not be familiar with us. And basically, EFL Talks is teachers teaching teachers. And I started this 5 years ago with the idea of most of us don't always have the money to go to conferences. And right now with everything shut down, you know, we're online all the time. And 5 years ago, I saw there was a need for people to be able to get the same quality of talks and the same teacher support for training for CPD all over the world. And for instance, people in poorer countries, people out in the middle of nowhere in South America, in Africa, in Asia, you know, they can't get to these talks. And EFL Talks was a way of putting talks together from teachers like yourselves for other teachers like yourselves. So I started this, we've been doing quite a bit over the past 5 years, which I'll show you. And the idea of it is, you know, we know you're busy teachers and you don't have a lot of time. So I came up with the idea of only 10-minute talks and using only 10 PowerPoint slides. So we have our little hook is 10 and 10. And the whole idea is to get you started with new information, whether it be new concepts, new ideas, methodologies, products, whatever there is out there in 10 minutes. and hopefully you'll want to research further into that. And it also gives an opportunity for people like you're going to see today to get out there and do talks and become more popular in the market. Well, as you can see, we've been pretty busy, and if you take a look, you'll see that when I originally started EFL Talks, was a 2-day event. We had over 50 speakers, and then our first event where we took a location and specifically did it for one teacher's group was, here she is, Elizabeth, and we did EFL Talks Ecuador, and that was the first one, and Elizabeth came up with the idea is, let's just talk about situations in Ecuador with Ecuadorian teachers. So it's nice that in my almost 5 years, we've done a complete circle, and it's a pleasure to have you here. So you can see we're pretty busy. To date, we've got over 336 EFL talkers. This is our 29th event. We're going to have our 30th event this coming Saturday with Poland, where I am right now. We're going to have over 500 teacher development videos, which are free for you to access 10 minutes at a time, which gives us over 100 hours of CPD. We should become a school. And we've been represented in 200 countries across the world. Now, everything you can find, we put all these recordings that we're making today, everything is available on our EFL Talks channel. If you go to EFLtalks.com, EFLtalks.com is where we have all the information listed, all the events, and you can go to the event, click on the event, and you'll be taken to the YouTube channel where you'll see a playlist of Ecuador, or you can search through and look for the specific talks that you might be looking for. So to date, we take parity and everything very seriously here. I'm very proud to say that in 2018, we were awarded the Eve of the Year award for EFL Talks, Inspiring Women of ELT. And to date, we've got 208 women, 126 men, a frog, and now a puppet. You'll have to watch the videos to find out why. And as far as non-nest and native speakers, we've done very well with parity. 2 of them, the frog and the puppet, we're not too sure about yet. So we don't know where to put them. But we're doing pretty well with this. We're running at about 62% women, about 64% non-native. So we do take this seriously. And, even though we did our specific men's comedy night and women's comedy night, we're looking that there's no difference whether you're native, non-native, male, female. We're all teachers. We're all equal. And it should come down to qualifications, and that's it. Okay? So I'm not going to put up a non-binary number here someday. We're teachers. I hope to get rid of this someday and not have to worry about getting awards. But if you're interested, we have one of our friends of EFL Talks, Hind, who you can see here, came up with this idea. Post a selfie. Now, a selfie is a selfie where just, turn around, have EFL Talks in the background, and take a picture of your smiling face in front of EFL Talks and post it on social media. Remember, this is free and this is for teachers, and the only way that we can help teachers everywhere is by letting them know what we're doing. So, spread the word throughout the year. We want people to come in. Best way to do it is putting pictures like this And people say, oh, what was that? Well, go to the site and find out. As I said before, everything is on EFLtalks.com. We have a Facebook group, EFL Talks, you can follow. And we also, for teachers, I started EFLTD, which is Teacher Development Channel, strictly for teachers. So, you know, hints, things that are coming up, talks you're doing, everything, feel free to advertise there. It's to help each other. And this is, you know, not for profit. I do all this myself. And one of the ways that we help support it, if you want to be a supporter, you notice we don't have publishers or anything else. We do books. And I was very happy that a few years ago, we came out with our first book, EFL Talks Companion Guide. And the idea of this is a lot of our EFL talkers wrote up their talks, and we have, it looks like blank pages. No, there's really stuff on the page. And they wrote about their talks, and these are available on Amazon.com. They're only like $1 or $2, and any of the profit after the printing, if you print it or you get the downloadable copy, which is much less expensive, any profit goes to keep EFL Talks going. And last year, because, about last year, because people said it couldn't be done, I did it. I came out with an EFL Talks cookbook. Now, this really is a cookbook. People say, oh, it's about different methodologies and lesson plans. No, it's a cookbook. It's with recipes. Oh, I get one without pictures. It's with recipes our EFL talkers have sent in from all over the world. And the whole idea is, we know teachers are busy. So it's making a meal with only 10 ingredients that you prepare in only 10 minutes time. Now, you could do all the cutting and chopping in 10 minutes. If it has to cook in the oven for 2 hours, that's fine. But it's 10 ingredients to prepare in 10 minutes. And this is for sale too. We sold a huge amount of these at IATEFL last year, which was great. And, you know, this is helping. And the good news, because the great ideas just never stop coming from Elizabeth, I'm going to let Elizabeth, you tell about it in a minute, but let me finish up with the slides here. As you can see, I haven't even added all these people in. I'm having problems. I have too many talkers and how to put them all in one picture. But we've got people from all over the world. This was at about 320. And now I'm going to fit you guys in for the next photo. And, you know, we're great. We're really happy to have you here today. And also, while I have your attention, Saturday, we welcome you to come back and join us for EFL Talks Poland, where Glenn Standish, another friend of mine here in Poland, got together. These are mostly academic and DOS people from Poland, and we'll be talking about different issues there. So now what I'd like to do before we get started is, let me bring the star back on. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here. Say hello to everybody and tell them they're surprised.
Okay, good morning from Ecuador. Rob, on my total gratitude to you. You always support my crazy ideas since the very beginning in 2016 when you were here in Guayaquil. So we always start, what if? And I'm so proud that Ecuador was the first EFL Talk country-based. So, and this is the second edition. We are even happier to be here and share what Ecuador professionals, ELT professionals are doing in their classrooms. So I'm so proud of this bunch of wonderful friends and professionals who are doing interesting things in Ecuador. So we are so proud of all of you guys, and definitely you are going to shine this morning. And the news is that this EFLtalks Ecuador, well, it's not over in 2 hours. So I will invite to EFL Talkers Ecuador to, yeah, we are going to publish the EFL Talk cookbook from Ecuador. So they will see only Ecuadorian recipes, the first 10 in 10. So that is the first news. So I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't cook, but I have to to do what I gotta do in order to publish and have it ready. So EFL Talkers Ecuador, be ready to publish the Ecuadorian recipes and publish the EFL Talker Ecuador 10 in 10. So Rob, again, thank you so much. And thank you to all who have joined us in this session from all over the world, because I see people from Ukraine, from Egypt, from some other countries, and a big virtual hug from the middle of the world, from Ecuador. So more than ever, very proud of being part of this ELT community. And on behalf of Ecuatisol Board and Tito Hidalgo, who is the president of Ecuatisol and who is going to present this morning, so we wanted to let you know what we do from Ecuador. So thank you so much, Rob. Thank you very much for all your support. Love you. And let's rock and roll.
Okay. Well, we're going to get started, and the first one up is Andres Rodriguez. If you can unmute yourself, and I'm going to make you a co-host, and you can share your screen. Before we start, I'd just like everybody to make sure, please keep your microphones muted. That way we can hear the speaker well. And no distractions. I don't mind if you have your camera on, just no dancing nude while he's talking. It can be distracting. And you know, some of you guys, I've seen you, I don't want to see it. So without further ado, Andres, share your screen and okay, and just start your PowerPoint. And we've got, all right, so Andres, you have 10 minutes. I've got the timer right here. Just start your PowerPoint. You can just hit F5 if you're on a PC.
Okay, good morning. Thank you so much for this kind of introduction. Rob,
Andres, before
my
you
name
start,
is...
put it into present slideshow.
You mean like this?
Nope. Over to the right, too. One more. Okay, there you go. All right, great. Your time starts now.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Ross, for your introduction. Thanks for this opportunity. The topic that I want to share with you for this morning session is about the myths of EFL teaching. So, but first of all, I would like to explain what is the importance of technology in education. Okay, so according to some experts and teachers believe, okay, that technology is not only a tool, okay, in order to carry on different activities in classroom, okay, task-based content activities, communicative activities, research, they're made based on technology. However, it is also suggested that technology is only a part of the education, especially in this part that we are working on online sessions. But it is very vital in order to do research, in order to maintain a balance between autonomous hours and the number of hours that students go to classes, go frequently to classes. In addition to this, I will say the fact that there are some benefits of education and technology. Okay, it is like a cycle, okay, in which the benefits try to go around. And the most important is that in the education, try to seek for students' capabilities, so students' skill in order to improve them. In the EFL teaching, we are concerning to the English skills in order to learn a second language. Okay, so the correct use of technology produce a positive impact in the learning, but this positive impact must be adequate and must be supported by the teacher in this case, because remember, keep in mind that it's only a tool. Another benefit is that the technology is supposed to reduce the gap of inequality between um, people who has opportunity to use and get access to technology and others who can't. Okay, so in terms of sociological impact, okay, in some poorest countries, the governments try to apply some policies in which the internet uh, goes beyond to different rural areas. In our case, in our country, Ecuador, the technological devices for many people, okay, are used constantly in order to have a connection, and they can do different research, especially in schools, high schools, and universities. Well, another benefit is that it inspires curiosity for learning. Okay, when students feel inspired, it's because technology is working so well. Okay, in this part of the session, I will start with the first myth, okay, which is related to putting computers into schools, okay, uh, it will directly improve learning. More computers will result in greater improvements, okay? Uh, it is commonly said that when we advance in technology, as in some high schools, in some districts of education, they believe that if you have more technologies, I mean, more computers in big classrooms or labs, okay, it is better for the students learning. But that can be true or maybe not. This is an important question. Why do you say yes and why not? Because it doesn't depend on the number of computers, and we as teachers, we know that. Is how is the way that how can we use it effectively, and the objective that we use with the technology and and the linguistic components that we have for our students' profile. Okay, in addition to this, we have another myth. Once teachers learn the basic of using a computer, they're ready to put the technology to effective use. Um, in other words, it is simply when we teachers are training now um, basic applications, platforms, technological devices, and we are learning from that in order to put in practice in our classes effectively. Or teacher training sessions with some teachers support other teachers in order to have a role model, and they can also coach them in these online sessions because they have different kind of the time of hours, synchronous hours, and those kind of hours make their students try to connect immediately, or they have some problems with the technology. So as a result of that, it is a myth because we can say that the teachers learn faster or learn a lot of basic information of technology, they have improved all the skills or they're able to be ready to technology. So it depends on some factors. Okay, we have another myth. This is about, it has about equality, okay, equity. And it is about that it can be achieved by ensuring that schools in poor communities have the same student to computer ratios at school in welfare communities. In other words, as I mentioned from the beginning, when I introduced the importance of technology, I was explaining that to reduce the gap between the poorest communities and the ones that can access to the technology, it's necessary that it exists the same opportunities to use them. Okay, it must exist a balance. All right. Equality is not the same. Is a term that we use for the same opportunities for everybody, but in real life, it's a little complicated because you know that in some rural areas exist some factors that incide in the proper use of technology. So the lack of internet, Wi-Fi, some other problems that affect directly to the students' connection. So that's the reason that it is a myth. Okay, in this part of the session, uh, it is important that it is highly recommended for teachers, okay, that we try to avoid some assumptions about global autonomy based on task-specific sustained engagement. Students can learn evidently from technology sessions. Yes, it is true. Certainly, they can use autonomous hours to improve themselves and to improve their capabilities. Okay, but it is not a strict rule that it is always going to work efficiently. So, as I mentioned before, the quality is a factor that incidence in the students' development, especially when they work using online sessions. Sometimes they can connect or they don't have the Wi-Fi or they have lack of connection. So as we teachers must be flexible with that part. Okay, we also recommend that teachers, we put in our hands, okay, and try to solve. We're not the total solver problem of this issue, this big issue, but we can try to find some solutions and encourage dialogue between learners and the teacher about the strategies, about how we are going to use these online sessions strategies and how we are going to use them in class in order to make a negotiation. By the way, the students can know exactly how to work, what the teacher expects. And also, as I mentioned before, the teachers, it's important that we can reduce a little bit our higher expectations about this online session with our students. Okay, in this part, we can conclude with some aspects in these online sessions using this technology. First of all, we never have to assume that the students will learn only because they are digital learners. They can have the skills, okay, the capabilities, but if they are not well oriented or oriented focused to the classes, it will be harder for them to learn or to find their autonomy. Okay. On the second point, we have the technology is an efficient tool, but it's not all what the learners need. Okay. So it was explaining in the first part, okay? And it's also part of the conclusion, as we know as teachers, that we use it only for a tool, but it's not everything, okay? So we can use it for different aspects of our classes, formative assessments, communication, developing skills. And finally, we say that every teacher uses technology according to the students' needs, okay? This is very important because as we teachers know the reality that our students are living or struggling, so we have to adapt or reduce, as I said before, the impact of higher expectations that we have for our students. So some teachers are using WhatsApp or other technological devices because they can use other platforms. So uh, I would say that it's okay because that's what the students need in that moment if they have some problems in their communities where they are living.
Great. Andres, I have to cut you off. You're over, and that was great. And
Thank you
I
so much.
just want you to show the slide because it's my new favorite slide. Nope, show that one again. Go back to that slide. I love it.
You mean the last one,
The
Rob?
last one. I love this slide.
This one? Ah, no, the last one you said.
Next one. Next one. All right. Everybody remember this. This is probably the brightest thing that I've heard said about technology being used in the classroom. Okay. And I'm using this, thanks to you, Andres, in all my anti-technology talks all the time now. So thank you for this. And thanks so much for the talk. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much, Rod.
Thank you. Okay, so next up, we're going to Deanna. And Deanna, hang on, let me make sure you unmute yourself. And Andres, I'm just gonna, okay. Deanna, unmute your microphone, and I've given you control so you can share your slides. And start the slideshow.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Can you
we
see?
can hear you. So yeah, okay, so let me hang on. And all right, make sure everything's set up. Okay, I told you I would promise I would try the name. So this is Deanna Urrutia.
Urrutia Bonilla.
Portilla.
Yes.
Close enough?
Yeah.
Good. So Deanna, thanks so much for doing this. And remember, only 10 minutes. I warn you, will cut off in 10 minutes. So
Great.
you all ready to go? You have control over the slides? Ready?
Yeah.
Take it away.
Okay. So everybody, hello. Thank you. You've been with today. I am really pleasure to be here. I am also thank Rob and Elizabeth to inviting this opportunity in the first time. Okay, my topic will be about for transforming EF through game-based learning in the first century class. Okay, what is the game-based learning? Game-based learning is a time gameplay that defines learning outcome and meaningful learning experience. It describes an approach to teaching where the student explores relevant aspect gained in the learning content designed by the teacher. Okay, so I am going to show the principal and mechanic of the game-based learning. One is the principle in the game-based learning are intrinsic motivation, learning through intensive enjoyment, authenticity, self-regulation, and autonomy. The intrinsic motivation refers to the behavior for the driven by internal rewardness. Learning through intensive enjoyment is a few words for the playful and interaction. And authenticity is contextualized for the goal. If the goal and insight for the abstract learning. But self-regulation is the learning to manage their emotion and behavior. And autonomy is the passion for the interest for the late to will. If you compare the mechanisms are mentioned to chain goal, the progressive difficulty levels, interaction and decreased learning control, and immediately constructive feedback. What is the impact on the teacher practice for the game-based learning? This student provide an alternative approach that allows for the engaging and student-centered by virtual to the cognitive tool for problem solving and knowledge construction based on the constructive learning. Okay, this the main factor we have enjoyment and motivation, the teacher role, the classroom manager, and the teacher skill. The enjoyment and motivation is of the teacher to engage in the activity, which can also encourage for the student to want to take part. Is to say that the teacher is as well. The teacher role is a play vital role in the life of the student. And the EF classroom manager is a challenge for all the teachers, but you adequate the manager in the classroom environment for the necessity conditional of the cognitive. And the teacher skill is specific for the using game. Can you let to the teacher become for the ICTL orientated? Okay, this means that the benefit for using game in the classroom are to make the classroom more fun and engaging, to develop the problem solving skill, to increase learning and memory capacity, to motivate learners to complete the task, to ask the learners to focus on the more attentive to the acquirement, to evaluate the learners in the formative assessment, and to deliver an instant for the feedback. As can see in this slide, the student learn outcome to be visual. The great in the first part is a visual. Visual is the act to the best tool to the learning and make it teaching effective and the best dissemination of the knowledge. The greater collaboration is the student enjoy working together. And the concentration on focus is a different property of the attention in the short time or the long term. In the teamwork is the opportunity to make the student to work together and share responsibility. Okay, the limitation of the basic learning. It includes the cost for the events as well as the shift of the priority. However, this some limitation gains basic learning to need considering before educator can use it in practice. In this case, use the curriculum, the game related, the attitude, the teacher support, and the assessment. Game-based learning. Game-based lesson learning for assessment. Allow to measure a student learning to provide the teacher with an authentic and usable expression with the target feedback. So, they are three consecutive learning activities in which a student performs the action. It's external assessment, it's a game scoring, and involvement aspect. I love to use, for example, Padlet. Padlet is create a good environment that permits the student to improve your skill. Game-based learning for individual need. This is important. Said because is you combining all the multiple intelligence for the linguistic, for the body kinesthetic, naturalist, logical, mathematical, musical, visual space, intrapersonal, interpersonal. And the principle is to regarding intellectual ability to more broadly is a drawing a picture, composition, or the listen to music, watching a perform. To provide the opportunity to authentic learning based on the student need, interests, and talents. To integrate the virtual environment with the member of the community into the learning process. To demonstrate and share the strength and inscribe the self-esteem and the self-regulation. Okay. Like which we can transform our classrooms through the virtual environment that allow to the student to be the critical and reflective with him the second language acquisition. To be effective for the game learning, the following recommendations are: apply the formative evaluation to ensure the game enjoyment and raising interest, build both to the level of address target group for the student specific aid, adapted learning plans, giving the teacher the freedom to run an awareness creation action. And the use of the co-creation methods and tools involve the teacher and the children contribute to the good design of the serious game. In this case, I use for the Quixi. Quixi is a platform you permit to create a format assessment. This is motivate for the students in this application. Okay, in the conclusion for this game-based learning, I find for the game-based learning is an effective approach to make a positive change in the student behavior and the attitude toward learning, which will enhance learning potential. Game can increase learning motivation to complete them and engage a student-friendly competitive environment with other learners. And learning opportunity is something that the teacher should strive to ensure of the students. Okay, that's it. Thank you for giving me your opportunity. Rob, thank you.
Well, you still have 2 minutes left. We'll slow you down in the recording. No, that was great. Thank you so much. And this is one of the biggest discussions that I hear take place about this online learning because of COVID is how we're going to do assessment. And, you know, it's very difficult, you know, between people cheating, people with everything else. Nothing's perfect yet, I don't think, is there? How do you deal with the test taking? Do you do any specific testing?
For example, I apply for a student need. Yeah, okay, the student, I incorporate the different platform where you include, for example, for the students, you present for the visual impaired. Yeah, but that permit to communicate, a real communicate, and the student you acquire effective knowledge, but you create the effective learning, the good environment, the virtual environment. But this is the clear rule in our 21st century.
Great. Okay, well, you still have a minute left. My goodness. I think you have the record for one of the fastest EFL talks ever.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
But thanks so much for doing this, and I really appreciate it. And let's see, so next up, we're going to go to Edison.
Hello, everybody.
And hang on, let me get you. Okay, now you can bring up your slides. You'll be able to share now.
Is it okay? Now it's there. Can you see it?
Yeah, and just go into the presentation mode.
Yeah, right. Okay. I am doing that, but I
Are
don't
you
know.
on a regular computer?
Yes, I am in a laptop, so I am doing.
Use function, just press function 5.
Yes, it was from F5, function 5, but I was okay. It is okay.
Go.
Now it's significant learning and what it takes. So let's see. What does significant learning mean? So it is whatever experience that makes that learning meaningful, valid, and especially useful in the long term. It's not only something that takes 2 or 3 days after the break, after the test. So learning, a significant learning experience is not only learning some contents, but is something that we as teacher design in order to, as a whole, is that kind of lessons that try to deal with various levels and skills and senses at the same time. Because the more senses we have included in the learning, that experience, that content can be can last in the long term. So they are going to be better in terms of acquisition. That's what the learners get to like their lessons when they find them meaningful at various levels, it involves not only one content or one skill, but several elements to become truly engaging. So that what it makes an experience really significant, and it goes from preschool to college students. Significant lessons can be designed at every single level of instruction. For example, we have an analogy when we think that when a student goes into a class, the experience is similar to that of a customer that goes into a restaurant. Therefore, what aspects do you consider when you as a consumer go to a restaurant and want to make that place a regular site for you to have lunch? Because that is, in Ecuador, that is the most important meal of the day, lunch. So if you want to, you have to eat in a restaurant regularly. What do you want to have? What does this restaurant need to show, need to give you? So in that case, what we have to look for an inviting menu, not only the layout of the menu, not only the fancy, colorful thing we have in our hands, but also we need to have well-prepared food and also thoughtful service. That's what students also need to have in their classes. The food that is our class, our design, has to meet the expectations set up by this menu, because first we have the menu, but we don't have the food. So the fancy colorful mood has to be reflected on the dishes in front of you. The venue, the place needs to be clean and organized with shiny clarity, not plastic forks or knives or styrofoam dishes. So what we have to do is, as long as we can, because we know many countries, many places have some at a disadvantage, we need to do our best in order to give our students a place where they can find, can feel at ease, okay? The waiters and waitresses, teachers have to show that they are there to satisfy the customer, but also to satisfy themselves by being neat, tidy, because people do not go back or recommend a place with a shabby or dirty premises, angry service, and high prices. So that is an analogy we have to make. The food experience loses its value when one of these elements is missing. The same thing happens when you teach. If you don't have an inviting environment, if you don't have well-prepared classes, and if you don't do it in the best way you can, your students are not going to feel at ease. Your students are not going to learn. But if they learn, they are not going to learn in the way they should. Okay? So there's one only, it is necessary that one of those elements is missing, but for the whole experience to be devalued. Okay, so in this case, teachers are the ones who prepare the menu. Who is involved in when making the food? It's not only the teachers, it's many other people involved. And who trains the service? Many people train the service. In this case, we are now training other teachers, but also we needed some training before when we were teachers. And at the present time, what we are doing is getting trained again, retrained, because we as teachers didn't have the expertise to teach with these digital devices, digital elements that we are now obliged to use, okay? So in this case, what we have to do is change things, because students and teachers have to change, but not only teachers. We should think that the material and human resources in this current situation in schools, with or without the pandemic, are not the best ones in many countries or regions. But first, we have to think the situation nowadays, even before the pandemics, because students and teachers are creatures of habits. So the teachers have the same, use the same techniques and resources, and students have the same attitudes of ways of doing things. In Ecuador, because of the law, almost no teacher can fail a class, can fail a course. So students are not doing their best. They are not doing what they can and when they must. So also another problem is there is no self-assessment, not from teachers, not from authorities, not from the administrations, neither from parents or students. So that is another problem, that there are no rewards from administrative personnel. There are no rewards from authorities to teachers. Teachers are just another part of the machine that has to work. There is less productive time. Teachers' time has become flexible and even elastic. We now have to teach and we have to be available 24/7. But authorities demand the same results with different conditions. I think that was the definition of craziness by Einstein or somebody who say crazy, expect the same results. But in this case, we need different results with same conditions. But now we are doing something that is not the same thing. To change and adapt, it is necessary to know what is left aside. So that is what we need to change and make change that takes place. It's a time when we have to, it's a time to disconnect some things, because in the previous slide I said that we say there is a lack of self-assessment. Consequently, there is no self-reflection. We are carrying out activities out of habit. It's just what we do. Because when we have a new idea, a new approach, a new methodology, what we are doing is inserting a new game. Inserting a new game implies requiring new rules. As we said, as creatures of habits, we don't want new rules because that demands too much effort. But we as teachers need to think that a class has always been a place for change, and teachers are generators of change. So we need to keep on that track. We cannot just leave those things aside. What we have with all these political moves around, going back to classes without proper care for teachers lose enthusiasm and they have felt unsupported. They have felt defied and left aside, and not only aside, but behind. And who is left behind is out of the game. Students also are feeling left out. They are, during these 4 or 5 months of pandemics, they have been only taking notes, reading tons of materials, and making little progress. But progress in terms of skills development, because they have to stop being children, to stop being teenagers and young adults for a while. So, and at this time and moment, teachers and students need to be heard and rewarded by decision makers in order to foster improvement under these new circumstances, the new normal, the new experience of this. Because when people are seeing and they can feel heard, they become active. They are not only another part of the big machinery of corporations. Then I was working with some teachers, and what they told me about significant learning and significant experiences, they say that significant learning experiences happen when teachers design lessons despite the pressure of the curriculum and other institutional mandates, thinking of the learners and their learning needs. They need to have integrated activities because they occur when they are connected, when they connect lessons with the learner's needs and personal experiences. Also, they said that shared experiences help students engage and participate in the acquisition and the construction of knowledge. They are participants, active participants. They are not only recipients of knowledge or skills, because they need to develop those skills. Then, as for learners, significant learning experiences mean respect, new channels of communication, contribution from all parties, tolerance. It fosters above all understanding of cultural background, understanding the cultural quilt our world is. When a learning experience is significant is when it touches the learner's affective human dimension. It promotes changes in her or him in the way he or she will interact with others. It has an impact that lasts even after the course has ended. It's not that we finish the class and that content is useless. becomes useless. It is relevant even after the course has finished. It is cultural responsible. That is why we have a cultural quilt where everybody has to participate and everybody has to put their own contribution to make a big quilt in the classroom. So with that thing in mind, we can have a celebration of diversity within the same country, within the same class, within the same institution. Something that we have forgotten, and many people have forgotten lately, because that's why intolerance has become prevalent. The cultural,
Edson,
yes.
that was great. We're out of time.
Wow, that's so bad. Thank you, anyway.
Yeah, but that was wonderful. Great information there. And here, just if you can, flip to the next slide. Now go to the next one. And the next one. And the last one, or is this the last? Great. Now, people who want can watch the recording and read what's there. Okay?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for doing this. And it was wonderful. And next time we'll have you speak faster and we'll get everything in.
The other thing, okay, thank you for the opportunity anyway.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
So next up we have Fernanda, and let me find Fernanda.
Hello, morning, everybody.
Good morning. I gotta find you though. Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, yes, I am.
Let me make you co-host. Good. And okay, now you're seeing 10 minutes and that's it. I'm
Yeah.
relentless. I'm
Okay.
horrible. Yeah. So let's have you share your screen.
Let me see. Okay.
Okay, and just go into the presentation.
Can you see my
There
screen?
we go. All right, we can see it. So you all ready to go?
Yeah, yes.
And I'm going to give you 10 minutes and then I'm going to cut you off.
Okay.
No pressure, okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, take it away.
Well, thank you, Rob, and thank you, everybody, for this opportunity. Well, so I am going to try, doing my best because I have just 10 minutes. Okay. Let's see. I am going to talk about a little bit motivation, right? So, motivated, yes or no? So this is the questions that normally we have, and also it's for the teachers and also it's for the students. So it is really important because in the educative process, we are involved both together, students and teachers. So motivation concerns about why people decide to do something. So this is a really important concept that we have to understand very clear in our classes with our students. So the motivation is the key to successful learning outcomes. So that's why it is the most important aspect that we have to consider in the development of our classes. It is a word, so as you know, it is a word that both teachers and also the learners use widely when they speak about language, about learning, about the success, and about the failure, right? So that's why I consider that it's really important. We are like teachers, so we have to motivate our students. But first of all, so we need to make sure that we are motivated in our classes. Okay, so I am going to share with you some important, well, I think that the most important principles that we have to consider in order to talk about motivation. So there is much more to motivational strategy than offering rewards and punishments, right? So it is not just when we are talking about these two words, motivation, it is not also related with rewards and also punishments, right? So the carrot and the stick approach made work is short run. So, but rarely doesn't like lead to real long-term when we are talking about good results at the end. So the idea is that we are going to have good results with our students. And I think that when the students are motivated in our classes, so we are going to have these good results. Another important principle is generating students' motivation. It is not enough itself. This also had to be maintained and protected. All right. So it is not just a part that we are going to do it at the beginning of the class, right? Or before our class, and that's it, and no more. So we have to identify and we need to understand that motivation has been to maintaining. So as a teachers, we have to continue monitoring our students and also protect it. And it is both again, right? So it is teachers and also students. Okay, so the third one is taking into account something about the quality. So it is the quality really important. It is not the quantity. I mean, the motivational strategies that we will use that counts. So I am not talking about that we have to use, I don't know, many of the most important strategies in order to maintain our students motivated in our classes. So it is the quality that we are going to use in our class. Maybe we have the opportunity to select just one strategy or just two strategies, but if we, with those strategies, we maintain our students engaged in our classes, so it sounds good, so it's much better. So I mean, so it is important to understand this, and it's not the quantity, it is the quality. Okay, so I was reading a lot about this, and I think that this topic, it is really important, especially nowadays, because so we don't have classes, normal classes, so we have to face the online classes now. And I think maybe the technological tools helping us in order to motivate also our students, and we have to select. We need to very carefully in order to select the best apps or the best technological tools that combine with our process, with our strategies in order to promote the motivation in our classes. And maybe we can consider this through motivational teaching practices in order to understand this clear. Okay, so the first one is creating the creating the basic motivational conditions. So it is important to know about how the environment is with our students. I think that it is really, really important. So we have to identify very good what about the students, what about the level of students, what about the environment that we have with our students in our classes. So I think that when we have classes online, it is a really, really a big challenge that we have like teachers in order to maintain our students motivated. Okay, the second one is generating initial motivation. So, I mean, it is not automatic for everybody. So it is not necessary that we, like teachers, assume that the students are motivated automatically. No. So we have to identify that we need to be ready, we need to be sure about our students and about their motivation. So as I mentioned before, pay attention because it is not just something that we have automatically with them. So in some cases, it is necessary to promote, to support these activities in order to provoke in our students a real motivation. So a real content in the classes. Okay, let's see. Okay, here I have two more. And maintaining and protecting motivation. As I said before, it is important that we understand the provoking or extending one motivation. It is a process that we have. So we are responsible in order to maintain and also protect their motivation. And again, so like teachers, because we are responsible of our students, of our learners, so we need to start to taking care about them and also about their motivation. The last one is encouraging positive retrospective self-evaluation. So most of the time when the students understood what about their mistakes in the past, so they are going to move or encourage in order to continue studying or continue doing their best and having best results at the end. Okay, so pay attention on those important things. Winning students' appetite. So this is a principle that we need to understand and identify our students' needs. And according to their needs, we need to identify very clear what are the best strategies that we can use in the classes in order to maintain the students motivated. Making the teaching materials relevant to the learners. So this is another thing that we have to identify. Breaking the monotony of learning. Okay, so monotony is a not good, it's a not good helper in our classes. And making the learner's task more interesting. So the students need some challenges in order to do their best and also to provoke a meaningful learning in the classes. And increasing the learner's self-confidence, creating learning autonomy, and obviously increasing learner satisfaction. So with those things, like a teacher, we think that it is really important that we have to pay attention, especially to this topic, because I think that it is one of the most important in our classes in order to have, better results with our students, with the learners, because the most important in our classes, obviously, they are. All right. So I don't know if it is the time, but thank you so much. Thank you, Rob.
It's great. You still have half a minute. Yeah, this is a great topic and very, very good information here. And, you know, with the shutdown and people getting suddenly thrown online, I find this is one of the most popular topics that I've been teaching about. And just people don't know how to motivate the students online and realize that it is a little different from the classroom. You know, one of the biggest problems is even getting them to start to go to the first class. And that's been a huge problem, I know, here in Poland. Most people have the money and have computers. Imagine the countries that don't. So thanks so much, Fernanda. That was great.
Thank you, Rob.
And thank you for being here. And if you could stop sharing. Next, we're going to bring up Gabriela. And let me find Gabriela. Let me give you control. All right, Gabriela, you can bring up your slides now. And there we go. All right. Okay, so say hi.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gabriela Portilla, and today I'm going to present about building a student rapport in online teaching. Okay, so first of all, I would like to share with you that all the information that I'm going to share right now, you can find it on internet as I did. The only thing that I'm doing right now is sharing this information that I consider is helpful for you. What is rapport? Rapport is the good relationship that teachers and learners have. This relationship should be based on respect and trust. If you build this relationship with your students, you are going to succeed in your class. Okay? Is it important? Is it important for you to build rapport with your students? Of course it is. If you do not have a good relationship with your students, you are not going to succeed in your classroom. You are not going to succeed teaching online. You have to remember that even though we are presenting in front of a computer, we are teaching human beings. We are teaching people with feelings, with their own ideas, with their own capacities, and we have to build rapport with them in order to succeed. Number 3, how can we build student rapport? This is not easy. This is not a task of 1 day or 2 days. This is something that you have to do every single day with your students. You have to give them the opportunity to know you and to give yourself the opportunity to know your students. Now we are going to continue and we are going to see how to do that, which is not a very simple task, but I am sure that we can do it. Number 4, now I'm going to give you some tips in order to create this student rapport in your class. Tip number 1, make eye contact with your students. So it's kind of difficult to make eye contact while teaching online, but you can do it. Just look at the camera as I am doing right now, and your students will feel connected with you. If you teach looking to the other side, or teach looking to the cell phone, or just looking at the slides, your students are not going to feel connected with you. And the most important aspect while teaching online is the connection that we have. The online connection, the actual connection, and the heart-to-heart connection that we have with our students. Another tip is learn something about your students, okay? Sometimes some teachers come to the online class, give a wonderful lecture, but they don't think about their students' feelings. They don't think about their students' ideas. So it is very important for us to get to know each other and know important aspects such as their birthdays, their hobbies, their favorite food, etc. So you can use this information in your class in order to develop meaningful learning. For example, if we are learning numbers, hello, today we are going to learn numbers. Today is September 2nd, 2020. We are going to celebrate Mauricio's birthday. If we are teaching adjectives, we can use these adjectives in order to introduce students' preferences, colors, favorite food, if they like spicy food, if they like sweet food, etc. So we can use this information that we are getting in here in order to use this in our class and improve their knowledge and create meaningful knowledge. Another tip is let your students know something about you. What can I do that? Can I tell all my life to my students? No, just tell them the most important aspects or aspects that you can consider important. For example, family tree. All my students know that I have a daughter. All my students know that my daughter is 5 years old. You can also tell them your hobbies, your favorite food, and as in the previous slide, you can use this information in order to create meaningful learning. For example, you can ask questions. Do you remember what was my hobby? Do you remember what my hobby is? Do you remember what my favorite food is? And they are going to be happy to participate in class because they feel connected with you. Creating this relationship is amazing because you can get very, very good results from this. Okay, another tip is begin your class with a greeting and a warm-up activity. Sometimes we are so stressed, we have tons of things to do, we have to plan, we have to create material, we have to do a lot of stuff. And we start the class just with a lecture, and we don't greet our students, which is a big mistake. Always call them by their name and say, hello, good morning, how are you feeling today? And the warm-up activities are also very important. There is a plethora of warm-up activities on the internet. You can mime, you can mouth words, you can do a lot of stuff in order to make them connect with the class. Okay? Another tip is call them by their name. One of the most beautiful things that we have in our life is our name. People in Ecuador and in Latin America, we normally have two names. Okay? So my name is Hilda Gabriela. My favorite name is Gabriela. So I love when my teacher used to call me Gabby or Gabriela. In some high schools, teachers used to call them by their last names. Mr. Portilla, Mr. Santacruz, Mr. Howard, Miss Ibadango, which is kind of weird for me because they feel loved, they feel connected when you call them by their names. Our name is beautiful, so use it. Don't call them like Mr. Guzman, Mr. Andrade. Try to call them by their names, and it's going to help you in your classes. Okay? Always show a positive attitude. This is amazing. I know that with this pandemic, all of us are overwhelmed. All of us are working a lot. All of us are having family problems, or all of us are afraid. We are scared sometimes to get the virus and all that stuff. But leave that away. Put that away and keep your positive attitude in your class. Show your students that you are brave and you believe in them and you believe in yourself. That's going to help you to create student rapport. Okay? And finally, it is okay to smile. Okay? This teacher is crazy. How I'm going to be smiling all the time like a crazy. Smile when you can. If the students say a joke, smile. Give them the opportunity to smile too. Give them the opportunity to know your feelings. Give them the opportunity to think that you are their friend, okay? And finally, I want to encourage you to be responsive to change, to be flexible, to adapt. I have been using this phrase over here maybe for more than 5 years. Okay, and I want to share this with you right now. It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. Okay, so in this time of pandemic, we have to be responsive to change. We have to adapt. We have to understand that we continue being human beings. We have our feelings, we have our thoughts, we have our ideas, and we have to encourage our students to be flexible and to adapt to change. Thank you very much. I guess I have some time.
Yeah, you got about 1.5 minutes. That was great. Let me put you on the spot and see how you do with this question. I've heard this a lot, that many teachers say, you're not your students' friends, don't get close to them. You know, you're there to teach them, not to be their buddy. What do you think of that statement?
From my experience, if you base your friendship on respect, then you are going to get good results. I have been teaching English for over 16 years, and all this time, my students have been my friends. And I am very happy to see my students in the street and say, hello, Miss Gabby, hello, teacher, hey, Gabby, as they call me. And that is something that nothing can pay for it. It's just to see their feelings. And when you become so connected to your students, you can teach whatever you want, not English, mathematics, physics, whatever you want, but you have to base your friendship on respect.
Great answer. And I agree with you that, you know, being friendly, using their name, all these things that you brought up are so important. And, you know, I try and teach people this because they find that they don't get this connection with their students and then wonder why they don't get results. That's exactly why. And, you know, I'm friends of my students. In fact, my students that were 15 and 16-year-olds are now turning 30. They're coming back to me now for private lessons, to take exams, to do interviews. And this is because they felt the rapport back then. And 15 years later, they return to you. So
That's amazing.
yeah, great presentation. Very important to work on rapport. And thank you so much, Gabriela.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Very welcome. Okay, next up is supposed to be Mario, but I don't see him here.
Mario has some few technical problems, so he will join us after the next presentation, Rob.
Okay, very good. So that means Paola, I hope you're ready.
It's me. I'm ready.
Okay, so let me give you co-host. And you should be able to bring up your slides now. And thank you for jumping ahead.
Thank you. No problem.
And all right, now you're going to end exactly at 10 minutes, aren't you?
Oh my God. Of course, Rob, I will.
No, we'll see. Okay, so without that, you're all ready to go. So take it away. Thanks for being here.
All right, everyone. Good morning. My name is Paola Gomez, and I will present 3 powerful approaches to develop 21st century skills. These are the 4 C's of the 21st century skills, right? And what I have done is pick 3 approaches that are really useful for the EFL classroom or for teaching any content subject in English. And I think that the 3 approaches that I have focused on, mainly framing critical thinking, probably because I have been teaching theory of knowledge and critical thinking both in English and Spanish for like 16 years. So over here, you will find the 4 C's, which are 4 different classifications of skills for the 21st century, and they have different subclassifications. Among the critical thinking sub-skills that students should develop to succeed in a world that we don't know yet is information and discovery. It's like how to handle information and how to find new information. Also, how to interpret and how to analyze this information to determine if it is reliable or not. To use their critical thinking skills, their reasoning, the high abstract skills cognitively, to be able to process this information and build their own arguments. In other words, develop their own criteria and judgment. Most importantly, to solve real life problems of any kind, integrate their knowledge, the disciplinary knowledge that they have into solving that problem. And the last one is being able to understand the world around them and that everything around is a system. All right, so our first approach is concept-based learning. Concept-based learning is an approach proposed by Eileen Erickson that works in parallel with the IB. She proposed that education and knowledge these days shouldn't be the way in which it is traditionally conceived, like only skills and facts. She proposed that knowledge is more than that, but that knowledge is facts, skills, concepts that unite all the disciplines and that go beyond. They go to generalizations, principles, and theories that explain large aspects of reality that are complex. Now, a benefit of concept-based learning is that it is super helpful to understand that we need kids to be able to solve problems of any kind. And it is terrible to go to their heads, and if they find a problem in engineering, for example, they should not only recur to physics, but to physics, mathematics, maybe biology, maybe chemistry. So concept-based learning helps that, to understand that knowledge is integrated and not segmented. I have an example here of the structure of knowledge proposed by Lynn Erickson. Um, she conceives knowledge based on this structure. Knowledge is the facts that students learn. These facts are framed within a topic, whatever it is, and distinctive of the subject. Then this knowledge goes above and they start to get integrated into concepts. It's like, for example, if you learn economics and biology, you use, of course, facts that are related to each of these subjects, but then you move on to different topics in the subject, and then you move to the concept of change. It's like change is a concept that unites those two disciplines, those two areas, and they help to see that change is the same thing, but it looks differently into different disciplines. And then, of course, going above to generalizations about how changes occur and what are the triggers for change in different disciplines into large theories. I have an example over here. This is the structure of knowledge in the primary years program of the IAB organization. And it begins with facts about families that students generate themselves. And then they move on to the topic of my family. And the concepts over here are, there are many examples of concepts. One is solidarity and collaboration, which is a concept that can connect different disciplines. And it goes beyond into generalizations. Families are alike, but they can also be different. Or families cooperate to get things done, into the theoretical part, which is human beings have the tendency to get united. That would be the theory above it all. We move on. And our next approach is visible thinking. I'm totally sure that many of you have already heard about visible thinking before. It was created by the Harvard Graduate School of Education. And its name is like self-understandable, because the idea is to make thinking visible. And there are different visible thinking routines, but I have gathered the three that seem to be the most useful. But I invite you to go to the internet and Google. There is a toolbox that Harvard has that compiles all the visible thinking routines that have different purposes, and they really demonstrate whether our students are in the level that we want them to be. If we're reaching synthesis or analysis or evaluation, we can evidence it in the visual thinking that we decide to implement in our classes. Okay, I have chosen compass points, see, think, wonder, parts, people, and interactions. Something that I love about these visible thinking routines is that they are self-explanatory and they have a very good guide on how to implement it, and also questions that work as an even better guide for students. So for whatever the topic or subject you want to implement them in, they're really useful. So the compass points, like in a compass, as you can see here, north, south, east, or west. In the north, you have the needs. In the south, you have suggestions. In the west, you have worries. And on the east, you have what excites students. And this can be about anything. There are tiny examples over here. Like, I need to improve my vocabulary, or I'm excited that we're going on a field trip. My suggestion is to have lockers, or I'm worried about breaking up with my friends. So those are authentic demonstrations of student thinking. Then we have see, think, wonder. It also has guiding questions. Oh, sorry. It also has guiding questions like, what do you see? What do you think is going on? What it makes you wonder? And I love this one particularly because it goes from description to analysis and inference. And then we have parts, people, and interactions that starts with description once again. It goes to like decomposing into the elements, which in this case are people, right? There will always be people because it's part of the routine. It's parts, people, interactions. And then the interactions is like, how do the parts and the people interact with one another? So they find the links, the relation, and have to infer how things work. Now, these visible thinking routines are very useful in different parts, in totally different parts of the teaching process, either in the introduction or in the development or in the productive part, depending on what the objectives of your class are, right? As I said, you can find more of these visible thinking routines in the Harvard website for the Project Zero. Okay, something else, like another powerful, super powerful approach to develop 21st century skills, especially critical thinking, is systemic thinking, proposed by Rodriguez. He said that knowledge is better understood when we teach our students to think as whether everything is part of a system. And you can see this is like a metaphor. It's like an iceberg. And on the top of the iceberg, you have the events. That is like the first part. So you go from top to bottom. So whatever happens in reality could be there. We have a simple example here, like catching a cold. It could be the COVID. It could be anything, actually. It's like, what happened? So you react and you say, oh, okay, this is what happened. Then you move below to patterns and trends. When something is a pattern, it is easy to anticipate it. Or if you identify a tendency, you can also foresee what's going to happen, right? It says, I've been catching more colds when sleeping less. But it can be anything, as I said. It's like, you can ask even your youngest students, it's like, you got good grades. That's what happened. What is a pattern that determines that you got good grades? And you go, I've been going to bed early, and I have been waking up early, and I have been keeping my agenda in place, for example. And then you go below, like, what is the structure underneath? Okay, my mom has been helping me out to organize my time. My teachers have been giving me feedback, and I have been asking my friends for help, and I am keeping more attention on my agenda. And then you go even lower to mental models. It's like, what assumptions, beliefs, and values do people hold about the system? It's like, with this result, I have realized that I have the belief that making good management of my time will give me good results. This systemic thinking, I think it's extremely important, because it helps you take students to high levels in Bloom's taxonomy, as so the other approaches that I have presented. I'm going to move on. It is very important to understand that to implement systemic thinking, graphic organizers are extremely important. We have some examples here, right? As you can see, the types of system mapping, we can go from this to the iceberg. It's always like breaking them in parts. For example, the behavior over time graphs. It's like you can have your students working on the COVID in this chart, right? And comparing maybe the Spanish flu with the COVID. And you can also keep using the iceberg, or going for causal loops, like people do not wear a mask, they get contagious again, or people are gathering again without restrictions, so they're going to get contagious again. So those are two really good examples. And I think I'm going to be stopped, right, Rob?
Yes, that was great.
I'm going to stop sharing.
That was wonderful. And my God, you talk fast. Very good.
Thank you so much, everybody.
That was great. That was really, really good slides, really good information. And I can tell that people are going to watch this recording 2 or 3 times to get everything that you put in, because that was really full of good information. Thank you so much, Paola.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you all the guys. Your presentations have been amazing, for real. Thanks.
Great. Thanks. Now we're going to step back to Mario. Mario, is everything working okay? Unmute your microphone, please.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. And I'm giving you control now to bring up your slides.
Okay.
I was panicking when I didn't see you here.
So was I. The system did not let me go through until now.
Well.
And okay, so I have total control now.
Yeah, you should have it. Go to share your screen.
Okay. There it is. Wait.
And let's see, give it a second. It's slow in coming up. All right, go into the presentation mode.
Okay.
There you go. All right, so I've got the timer set. You've got 10 minutes. Take a deep breath. Remember, I'll cut you off.
Okay.
Ready to go?
Okay.
All right,
Good,
take it away.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My presentation is going to be about something that we're living on right now. I mean, this pandemic stuff, there are so many rumors about it. Oh, it was created in Fort Detrick, whatever, Maryland by the United States Army, which they are kind of famous for that. No, that it was created in some way in China, and who cares? It's here, and we have to deal with it, adapt to it. And so far, so good. I mean, the world is not going to be the same anymore. Not for anyone, especially us teachers, especially students. And that's what my topic is going to be about. Okay, addressing the needs of English learners during the pandemic. I'm sorry. Now, during this virus, right, the school districts, not just here in Ecuador but worldwide, they have tried to be understandably concerned about the new and experienced equitable access, like we're doing right now online, virtual instructions for all students, including those with special needs. The public, of course, oh yes, it's great, it's beautiful, right? But they only see, the whole picture. We gotta get into the details about all the stuff that we as teachers and students had to adapt. There are many teachers. There's even a video going around about a teacher who got helped by his students because he could not manage. He was not computer savvy, as we say it, and he had problems, uploading stuff, going through this. Is not the same, of course, not the same dealing with all this digital stuff than being in an actual classroom with your blackboard and your markers. These days kids, they be like, okay, what's the icon for this? They need icons in order for them to move on. Us old teachers, old timers, we didn't need that. All we had was markers. I remember using chalkboard and chalk. Okay, so all this stuff, of course, has gotten the world, especially some teachers with their pants around their ankles because we were not prepared. I include myself. I include myself in this stuff. But anyway, everybody was like, oh yes, it's great. Of course, there are advantages. One of them, like I keep stressing my students, is like, hey, you don't have to wait until Monday to tell me that you did not understand something. Yes, it's Friday. You got my WhatsApp. Let me know. You got my Zoom. There are ways that we can keep that communication going. And we don't have to wait until Monday or Tuesday or any other day to have something explained to us. That's one advantage that I see. But the other disadvantage, like I was saying earlier, is that a lot of teachers, they were not, and they still training themselves to be computer savvy on how to upload stuff like this. Keeping the classroom entertained. It was hard enough to keep it entertained when we were face to face. Imagine now. Another advantage from that is that you have the student by himself in his room or in his living room or wherever has his equipment set up. There is no more of that stop bothering with stuff or getting their book bags and flipping them inside out or doing all those kinds of pranks among themselves, including with kids. They got to be there, and hopefully the mom is right there on the other side of that computer looking at them, making sure that they're there, making sure that they don't stray and start doing other kind of stuff, or with teenagers going to another page, because like I say, they are very computer savvy, and they, believe me, they have even played pranks, jokes on teachers, and it's not nice. So we as teachers, we got to be super prepared for stuff like this. And also we have to see who we can really trust now. And it's a lot harder because you're not there, you're not face to face, you're not seeing them. Family. Oh, yes. One of the changes that has affected us is that some families, myself, I have become very, very tight with my son and my wife. But not all of us have that same faith. Some of them has been, have gone through hardship in adapting themselves. They've been married for 10 years and suddenly they got to really practice that marriage. And you're not the one for me. I've been married to you all this time and you're not. And that kind of drama. You can barely express yourself now. For some. For others, it's a great opportunity for everybody to see the way you feel about your surroundings, your family, the way things are going at work, the way things are going in school, and other related items. Entertainment has come to some with an impact. Me myself, now I'm able to finish watching movies that I have always left halfway because, hey, I got some plannings to do. I gotta prepare this exam. There was another student that was not ready that day of the exam, so I have to reschedule his exam for another day. So now it's different. One of the other advantages of all this technology is that, like I said before, we don't have to wait until a certain day. All we need now is a link, a time, and feel yourself free to do what you have to do in order to comply with your academic skills and grades. People have been unmotivated because everything, too much of everything. Like my mom used to say, abundance brings scarcity. That means that like too much of something, there comes a time that you get bored and you don't want to do that anymore. And not able to go outside and being contained in four walls, it could be stressful too. How do we deal with all that kind of stuff? Myself, I'm about to finish my first book. You got to find your hobby to keep yourself entertained. That will be one way. And like you say, despite all these adaptations that we have, I could barely see it here. Excuse me. Teachers are still trying to get their students speaking in English class, at least when it's time to say good morning. Has that happened to you? You click on, you log on, and you start your class and you say, good morning, guys, can you hear me? And there's no reaction. Gotta work on that too. Parents are still thinking that us, teachers, are they when they are not around. Yes. Some teachers, some parents, okay, from this time, from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock, you are not my son. I will be back and get with you after that, okay? Bye, talk to your teacher. He's your father right now. Other education activists are just waiting for time to go by, asking themselves every 5 minutes, hey, what time is it? It's time to go around. That attitude's still there. Even though you are at the comfort of your home, like I am right now. You don't want to see what I'm wearing from here down. Believe me, you don't. You really don't. But up here, I'm looking good, right? I even asked Miss Elizabeth, Miss, is it okay, if I put on a suit, a shirt, and a tie? She was like, however you want it, Mario. I was going to come out with a t-shirt, but I said, nah, let me be presentable, at least for this time. But yes, sometimes other presenters, or other situations, all you see there's a picture of somebody. To me, I try to show my face all the times. Okay. Also, the district has made few changes in many problematic policies and practices. We got something now, it's called the PECA here in Ecuador, which means Proyecto Educativo Institucional para la Convivencia Armónica, that I believe in English is Institutional Education Project for Harmonic Coexistence. What's that all about? Adapting and giving your best to our students, our clientele. This, hopefully, there are changes to come. I heard, a rumor has it that September 12th, everything's going back to normal. Teachers will have to go back to their institutions. I heard. No students though, but they got to be there. Why? Who knows? Who knows? Oh, it's almost time.
Nobody knows.
I know. I got 10:04. Jesus, you're right, Mr. Howard. Time does fly when you are speaking.
Does.
And I don't even know which one I'm in. I think.
Well, do you know where you are, Mario?
Excuse me?
Do you know where you are?
Yes, of course.
As long as you know where you are, that's half the battle. I woke up the other day not knowing where I was. I thought I was in Brazil again.
Oh yeah, that happens too.
Yeah.
He does.
Well, that was great. It's it's kind of interesting because I keep seeing all these talks being done by people and organizations of where we go from here and what's the new normal, and nobody has any clue because we don't know what's going to happen. And you have some great insight there. So thank you so much. And
you're welcome.
I love the tie in, and the jacket. I would do it, but so I get all right. Thanks so much. Right now, we're going to move on. Okay. Stalin, you have control now.
All right, I can see it. Let me share my screen.
Great.
And let me put my presentation in presentation mode.
Very good. I have to
come
up with a better way of saying that. Presentation mode, that kind of universal, right?
Yeah, it's a Mac, but it works.
Yeah.
All right, good, everybody. Good morning, and thank you for being here. Again, my name is Stan, and today I'm going to talk about humor in the classroom, specifically classroom appropriate humor, and whether that we doing this new virtual humor or in classroom humor. At some point we might go back, who knows, down the road, but there is a way for you to do it. And these rules, I think, are very universal. They're not rules, but these ideas that I'm going to talk to you about today, that you can apply them presentially or online through video. I've learned, and I always tell my students that they have to turn on their camera. And it's because I feel that I can connect with them more and they can connect with me more. So this will be a way for you to kind of see their reaction while you're doing humor. So that's what we're going to talk about today, about humor in the classroom. And let me turn on my timer, make sure I don't go over the time. So my title is When They're Laughing, They're Learning. Yes, if something is more enjoyable, you are more likely to pay attention to it and listen to what's happening. Even if you only listen for the joke, you will pay attention to something, and something will stay in your mind or the mind of your students while they're paying attention. What are some of the social benefits of humor? Humor helps communicate rules, create understanding, a bond between the instructor and students, which is sometimes it's hard to do, especially when you have these instructors who are very top down, right? I am the instructor, I'm the know-it-all, and you're the student, the one who has to learn what I have to say. And we know it. I went to a public school when I was young in Ecuador, and a lot of us have, or maybe you haven't, but you know that this happens, whether this is a public school, this is a private school. There are people who love to have this top-down instruction. And it's really hard for them and for the students to connect with them because there's no real way of bonding with the person. So, you know, from a social perspective, when you go to a party, whoever you're talking to the most, whoever you're laughing with, you made a connection whether you know that person or not. Obviously, it's going to be easier with the person that you know than with the person that you don't know, but it is easier once between two strangers, you're at least just smiling to each other in a friendly manner, and then you connect, right? The other one, it creates this bond between students. A lot of times, yes, students come from the previous year and they're all friends, and they go to the next school year and they're still with the same friends. But what if they go to a different school? What if they're doing an activity outside the school where you're joining, I don't know, a community service project? There's a way for the students to bond together, even if they are from completely different schools, different settings. It helps the students create this atmosphere, this friendly atmosphere within the classroom. And we know that it'll be a lot easier for them to work on projects, even if they're not friends, but at least they're friendly, which is a big, big difference, right? What about the psychological benefits? It helps students relax. If you're relaxed, you're more likely to pay attention, or at least not to disturb during class, which is already a big plus. Now, it keeps the students' attention. Again, I said, whether you're using humor, and I'll talk about this, you have to know how to use it, obviously, but at least the students might be paying attention to see where is going to be the next joke coming from, or what are you going to say? And indirectly, they're paying attention, at least to some of the things you're saying in class. And that makes it already a plus. It's already a win, right? If they're at least catching something, it's a plus. I always tell my students, you might not learn everything I'm trying to teach you, but you will leave the classroom learning something. Whether you know that you hate my class, you don't want to come back, but you'll learn something, right? So if they're paying attention to something that you're doing or you're saying, or something that might be coming up, you create that not anxiousness, but yeah, the anticipation of something. There might be something there that's going to be funny. They will pay attention to you, okay? And it lowers, when they go into a classroom that they hate, at least they know if they're going to have a good time, they're more willing to go to class. And that's already a win. A student that goes to class, especially in colleges, right? And when you go to the university, you don't have to go to class. I mean, you might fail the class, but you don't have to go. Maybe you hate the class and you miss, I don't know, 10 sessions. Maybe if you throw the teacher, the instructor throws a little bit of humor in there, you might only miss 5 instead of 10. That's already a win for us, right? As educators, that is a big win. Now, classroom environment. I know we talked about this. This is all related, right? It makes the student, it creates a nice classroom environment, right? Where students feel value, right? Because you're taking the time to do something for them. Yeah, the laughter will definitely help you, right? Because you can laugh, you can look at your students' reactions. We all enjoy it. It's great. It's amazing. But students feel value because you are creating, you going beyond this is the requirement, this is what you're learning, to, hey, learn this the fun way, or smile a little bit, enjoy class, right? They feel that. They can feel it whether they say it or not. They feel emotionally safe, right? If everybody's laughing, everybody's contributing, this is a nice, relaxing environment, the emotions, their guard goes down. So they feel safe too. They feel active, they participate more. Maybe you get a student that never participated and he decides to tell a joke or at least a funny story. Whether he is good at it or not good at it, the person is talking, and that's already big. And they can experiment with language. If you ever try to tell a joke, you know how hard it is to tell a joke. I cannot tell a joke for my life. I really, really, really suck at it. But I know I can make you laugh. Just because I do silly things. I'm very silly in that sense until it has to get serious. I'm a very silly person. In the classroom, I am definitely silly just because I like having fun anywhere. But in the classroom, I like to have fun because if I'm bored, I'm sure my students are just dreading being there. So I want to make sure I create that environment. And that also helps the students to try to tell a joke, to try to tell a story, right? An anecdote, something happened, they were on the bus. I usually tell my students when I was on the bus, when I was walking, what I saw, what I did, when I tripped, I don't know, when I almost hit the light post because I was writing a message and not paying attention to the road, anything. Just tell a story. You don't have to come up with a joke. What are some of the educational benefits? When we talk about specifically language learning, they'll learn vocabulary, right? To tell a joke, you have to learn vocabulary, whether it's simple vocabulary, more complex vocabulary, syntax, semantics. It takes a lot to be funny. In that sense, we do it automatically in our native language or our second language when it gets to be strong enough, but it is difficult. And discourse and conventions of the target language. Some of the other things the students learn, they get insight into the culture. It is really difficult. Jokes are very cultural based. So they learn more of the culture of the target language, in this case, English, right? And students learn and hold humor. Students learn and see how humor is used. Sorry, I think I mistyped the word there. Students learn and learn how to use humor. I think. Sorry. Next. Now, some of the things when it comes to humor, explore your inner self. Be yourself. You have to be yourself. Humor should come out natural. If you need to practice, practice. If you want to tell a joke, like I said, I'm not a good joker, so I will have to practice. I'm not good at making jokes, so practice. It should be nice and smooth. You're talking and it comes out, right? Or it's just something you say and it just comes out funny. Perfect. Many forms of humor. You can't tell a joke. Use visual. There are a lot of pictures. Wear something funny, maybe different colors, add things. Tell a story, right? Like I said, tell a joke if you're good at it. I know people. I have a cousin, excellent at telling jokes. I am not. So I use visual things. I tell stories. I do funny things. I say silly, different ways. But I want to make sure my students laugh. Now, pick your spots. Make sure it's not something you do every 2 minutes, every 3 minutes. Pick them when they're effective. Whether you want to introduce, you want to close the topic, however you decide. This is up to you. It's going to be more effective. Use it there. Make sure it stays, right? Because it's going to be memorable. And know your audience. You cannot tell the same joke to a college student that you can tell to a high school student. So know the audience, even to adults, because it varies. The same joke might not work with the same age group in a different class. So you have to know your audience. Nurture, give and take. Sometimes you just have to bite your tongue, right? Because the students will make fool of themselves and they'll be happy about it. Let them talk, right? Let them tell the stories. Acknowledge when they say something funny. But like, that's a good joke. Thanks for the story. Let them be out there and tell their stories because they will do it. Trust me. I've done it. I've seen it from all age groups. They do it and they love it. And they feel good about it, especially in the language classroom. They want to use the language of the learning. And that's the only way you have a non-control activity where a student can succeed at it, fail at it, language-wise, but everybody will get a good laugh because he's trying and he feels confident, and next time around he'll be better, right? So that's what we want to do, or she will be better. Teachers look better. Research shows that when you have this nice environment of learning, students are more likely to see you as being friendly and being a better teacher. Students create a more equal relationship with a teacher. Instead of being top down, it's more horizontal, which is always a great thing. Now, the dark side of humor, do not embarrass anybody, do not ridicule students, don't give just dumb jokes. In the sense of offensive jokes. Have a purpose. The joke has to have a purpose. It doesn't substitute good teaching. You have to have good teaching to do that. Now, something to recap, you're not a clown or a comedian, right? Practice makes perfect. If you gotta tell a joke, do it. Humor should be a form of teaching, and you should use it wisely, right? And hold on, let me turn off my alarm. And the last thing, nothing, absolutely nothing replaces good teaching. You're there to teach, not to be a comedian. A good plan, good teaching strategies, good activities will definitely do it. Humor is only a compliment. I am done. I think that was 10 minutes.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I like that.
That was great, and I totally agree with you. And I've done this from the beginning, and actually I've been yelled at in courses about using humor, and I show them how ridiculous it is, because I find it immediately puts your students at ease. They're not afraid of making mistakes. They learn to laugh with each other, not at each other, but with each other. And it really builds a community that's, you know, as some people say, a safe space of learning. So I definitely agree, Stalin. Humor is so important. So
Thank you.
great, thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to Tito. And let me.
Yes, sir. It's my turn.
Yes, I think so. Should we skip you? No.
Do not check me.
It's your turn. Okay, you have control. You can bring up your slides.
Okay. Is that me there? Good.
Yes, and okay, you're ready to go? You know the rules, 10 minutes.
Yes. So, morning to everyone. Thank you for your presence here and thank you for the opportunity. So, 360 degrees EFL teacher, basically it's my proposal to most of our colleague teachers here, because as everyone has said here, nobody knows how we have changed, how the world has changed. And so we know that the post-pandemic context is going to be funny, something we cannot control. But the only thing we can control is ourselves, or what we do, or how we see ourselves. In this case, I propose a way to see ourselves as from all the angles. Brian Tracy, he proposes that we should see ourselves as not only as professionals, but as teacherspreneurs. As a CEO, we're responsible for the different areas of a company. That is finances, that is marketing, that is research, and all of this. So as the president of your own teaching company, a one-man company, we have greater responsibilities over the different areas. And of course, the benefits come with it. And so our best clients, let's talk about our clients. Our clients is the people we work for now, for those who still are employed. And so we need to keep them happy. That's the only way we know that they will keep coming back, right? That they will require our services. Those students we teach, they will come back if we provide them with the quality service that they deserve. So this is self-explanatory, right? But you need to remember that the only way we can continue doing what we do is by offering quality service. Now, as the CEO or the director of our company, we look after our human resources, how we provide them with the right professional development. And so in that case, for example, we need to cover all the areas, growth mindset, all the little things that now we're learning. Even here, we're here because we're learning things. Just at the beginning of the year, I didn't know much about teaching online. I didn't know much about how to teach, how to use gamifications within my activities for the students, or so much about how technology goes. What happens if I get disconnected? What should students be doing behind? Or how should I handle the stress when students are not connecting or they're not reacting? And so we're learning, we're constantly learning. So as a director of our own personal teaching company, we need to have all those areas covered. Let's see with the next section. Knowing your finances. What happens if you don't know how to handle your budget? In that case, what's going to happen is that you're going to be distracted. You're going to be distracted and you're not going to be able to focus on the mission you have, which is to provide quality quality services to your clients. So it's important to create a good system. It is important to know how much your service is worth. Because every time you go to an institution, let's say, to have a meeting in order to negotiate your salary and to negotiate also your psychological salary or emotional salary, it is important to know your product and the service and how much you're supposed to charge, because you have to cover expenses, transportation, professional development, and so many other things, right? So by creating a system of carrying it and doing it right, it gives you not only a good sense of progress, but also of peace, which will allow you to successfully obtain the results that you expect in that client's. We know how important it is, marketing nowadays, right? We need to know that we need to be exposed to the world, what we offer, our services or our product. We need to stay up to date. We know that, I mean, 3.8 billion people are users of social networks. So in that case, we need to know what to post, what type of pictures. We need to know a little bit about Creative Commons and copyrights. But the only way we can sell ourselves or promote ourselves or our services is by knowing how to use these tools that are provided to us now. I'm sure that many of you agree with that, because I know some try to be conservative and not to have these be part of these social networks, but nowadays it is imperative, especially if we wish to see ourselves as entrepreneur teachers, entrepreneurs. Now, networking. As part of that networking, what are the benefits? Most of you know that. We get connected with other people. We expand our connections. We expand our knowledge because we get into these groups where or forums where we talk about different things. So we benefit from that information, from those chats. We become firm on the concept that we have about the current the current situations and what is new in the field, in our field. Leaders. Well, talking about leaders is like, many of you must know, and you know, I'm sure you do. You select one area to work. Let's say reading. You focus on reading, you research in reading, you get in these groups of people who also like reading. You do research, you get results, you publish them. So by becoming a leader in that area, just like any other company, what happens? The world is always watching. And so whenever they want something related to that topic, they're going to go to you. As a director of our own personal company that is called I Teach, you need to provide a competitive service by always being up to date, just like you're doing right now. You're learning different things. I'm sure that after all these things, you will select the things that you know might work for you. Then you might apply them. And then once you apply them, you check the results. And then you might continue using those that do give you results in order to provide a good service. So that's what makes a competitive service. What is different from other people offering the same service? The price and what other benefits you can create with that, or they can get by getting your services. So in conclusion, even non-profit non-profit organizations today, they know that they need to survive. And now they're managing themselves as just like any other company. They get into the competition, and we are not different from them. We need to see ourselves as professional, but we also need to let others know how important it is to get us, for them to know us and to know what we do, to know the service provided. And not only that, but the great results that selecting that service can yield and can provide. So I hope my proposal rings a bell in you and gives you the results that you expect from your own personal English teaching company. Thank you, sir.
Great. Hey, you still have a minute left. Yeah, it's an important subject. I talk about this a lot because so many people have been going to becoming private teachers and freelancers. And one of the biggest problems I see in the industry is teachers don't know their own value. And they're afraid to ask for money and afraid to value themselves high. You know, we are professionals, and those of you who've heard any of my talks, it's like start charging accordingly. You're no different than a doctor or a lawyer. You're not the same as a janitor or anything else in a school. So great. Thank you so much, Tito.
Thank you, Ron.
And next up, yeah, I wonder who's up next. Oh, it's my wonderful co-host who just disappeared and ran away. Elizabeth, I've just given you co-host permission. So you should be able to bring up your slides. Wait a minute. Say hello. Oh, for some reason we have no sound.
Hello?
Hello, there we go.
There we go. That's great. Okay.
Well, before you even start, it's been a wonderful day. Thanks to you. You got some great speakers. And thank you so much, as always, you know, supporting EFL Talks. I don't know my own name. And, you know, the great work that you're doing in Ecuador. And I can't wait to come back. I was so disappointed that we haven't been able to come back again, but hopefully soon.
So hopefully, yes, very soon would be great to meet each other and keep dreaming.
Yes.
And keep dreaming. So meanwhile, let's do what we do best. Thank you, Rob. Thank you very much for your support. I'm so proud of this bunch of Ecuadorian professionals and the ones who have joined us today. I hope you enjoyed the presentation just the way I did.
Loved it. So you ready to present?
I think so.
Okay.
Let's get it started.
Well, you know the rules. An important person that I love madly or not, I'll cut you off.
Yes. Oh, wait, I need a timer. Okay, good morning, everyone. So today's topic that I bring to you is the SDGs in the EFL classroom. But before getting into in-depth topic, what are the Sustainable Development Goals? This is a plan developed by the United Nations and agreed by all the countries to work towards by 2030 to fight global inequality, extreme poverty, and respect our planet. But how could we transfer these or join these worldwide initiatives in our classroom from our classroom perspective? So the first thing that we need to know is that the Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17, and they are all connected from somewhat to the topics we cover in our classroom. But how to implement these SDGs in the classroom? It's not just for the EFL classroom, it's for the classroom in general. So no matter what language we speak and no matter what subject we speak, this is something that we need to be sure that everybody knows that it's a worldwide goal. So here, the first step would be to understand how peace education and the school curriculum is connected to any of these SDGs. In this case, I have chosen SDG 16 connected to peace, justice, and strong institutions. And in our curriculum, it's important to include tolerance and, oops, sorry, okay. So, and in terms of tolerance, we need to include this level of transversality in which we help the students to develop respect for people whose abilities, beliefs, culture, race, or other characteristics are different from their own. So on the second aspect that we need to consider seriously in our curriculum is to develop the skills in our students as active listening, impulse control, empathy, anger management, and the appreciation of differences between people and groups. Also, improving communication skills as problem-solving abilities, how these problem-solving abilities can create safety, justice, and a sense of community. And finally, one of the aspects that are very important and changing the way we introduce history. And what we usually do is that curricular materials in schools, they're focused primarily on war rather than on peace and peacemakers. And from that sense, we promote a peace history sense by introducing peacemakers and activists. So we have some well-known worldwide faces like Sir Ken Robinson, who just passed away, or people who have lead pacifist movements like Gandhi and Nelson Mandela. However, we need to introduce in our school curriculum local activists and local peacemakers. So we have two fine examples here in Ecuador. So Matilde Hidalgo, the professor from Loja in Ecuador, she was the first woman who got a degree in as a doctor in medicine. And also she was the first woman elected for a public office. And also she was the first woman in Latin America to vote. So on the other hand, and we have a current activist, Nema Grifaushiwa. She is the Zapara Nation leader in Ecuador, and her activism goes to the protection of the Amazon and the rainforest. So, and getting to know all these activists, the ones who have lead any kind of change in the world should be a must in our curriculum. Okay, and this is connected to SDG 16. So how there are some other activities that we could do and we implement in the classroom. Paola talked a little bit about concept-based learning and how we can promote or make it something more concrete in actions. For example, This is a real life example of one of the projects my students at the university developed in order to solve an environmental problem connected to their subject. So in this case, they were combined 3 SDGs: climate action, life below water, and life on land. In this case, this is the one of the examples of the projects they had to present because we are in virtual education. On the other hand, this is one of my favorites. And this is an example of how you could plan your lesson connected to different SDGs. This short film, here you have the site, the link where you could access this kind of videos. It's called Ian, and this is based on a real life story. So this is a very interesting activity, and the students really love authentic material. So you can connect the different SDGs to the topics presented in the classroom. Participating in the pop-up festival, and this is one of the activities we are very active from our institute, World English Institute. We are an active members of the pop-up festival activities. And this is connected to good health and well-being. So working with emotional and socio-emotional aspects from our students to express their emotions. And this is a very, very interesting activity because the students, they develop different kind of projects in order to express their emotions about different global issues, but also, and the main aspect here is to take care of their own emotional well-being. Here we have some wonderful links and wonderful institutions and wonderful website where you can get lesson plans ready for you to use and implement SDGs in your classroom. So the world's largest lesson, it's a partnership with United Nations to promote SDGs, and there are a good amount of lesson plans, readers, videos that you can use in the classroom. So then we have Film English, just as the one that I show you with, where you can get the short film. 6 Seconds Organization is another partner with United Nations. Of course, United Nations website and Big Left Journal, which is one of the organization that provide some free downloadable resources. And advocacy is one of the important aspects in our lives. So this group of Ecuadorian professionals believe in quality education. And that is why we support and we thank one more time Rob Howard's initiative through EFL Talks, because we Ecuadorian ELT professionals believe in quality education. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh. I don't think I've ever made a presentation before. Elizabeth, that's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again, thank you so much for organizing this and putting this together and getting all these great speakers. Let's have a hand first for Elizabeth. Yay!
All of you guys, thank you so much for spending and sharing with us a Sunday that it's a family day. And thank you to all my Ecuadorian colleagues who accepted the challenge to be now international EFL talkers. So thank you guys. I love you all.
And thank you to all the speakers. You were all wonderful. Everybody, I really appreciate you being here and doing this. And for all of you sitting at home on a Sunday, like you say, it's family time. It should be American football game, but you know, oh well. Thanks so much for being here. Help spread the word. You know, I hope you join us. If you want to be an EFL talker in the future, send me a proposal. All the information is on the EFLtalks.com.
Rob, in fact, we should do the second EFL Talks Latam that happened next. We would have the second edition of EFL Talks Latam. So Grazia is already here, so
Yep.
we could have it done.
I was gonna say, Grazia's here. She's gonna make me do it. No, yeah, you're right. We should do another Latin American one, and that'll be coming up. We're going to, just so you know, let me just share the screen to tell you what's happening. Again, here we're finished with this. We hope that you can come back and join us this Saturday, where we'll be here in Poland. And we're very excited about some of the speakers that'll be here. Well, all of the speakers, but we've had some of these are friends and great talks also. So come and join us on Saturday. We will be part on Monday of the International Publishers Conference. We're going to do a special EFL Talks there. I don't have any details because I don't know what time or anything yet, but watch the site. And again, we're going to be trying to do one for Egypt coming up. I know Hannah was here before. I think she might still be here. We're trying to plan one for Egypt before the end of the month. And our goal is put the date on your calendar, October 4th. In honor of World Teachers Day on the 5th, we will have our 5th anniversary EFL Talk. So I hope to see you all back here again. For those of you who missed anything or have friends that, you know, feel they missed good talks, which they did, you know, tell them within a few days, I'll have all the videos edited and we'll have those up on the YouTube channel so you can see that. But remember, just everything that you need to do, whether joining the Facebook group, the TD, finding the links to everything, how to contact me, everything goes right through EFLtalks.com. Very easy to remember. And, you know, we hope that you become part of the community and help spread the word. So with that said, again, thank you everyone for being here. And if you're not too shy, just turn on your camera so we can see everybody smile and wave and laugh. And be nice to see everybody who's here. You know, you've been looking at us. It's our time to look at you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing all the information. It was being very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian.
Any
So thank you.
questions? Any comments? Yep.
Well, I want to thank my colleagues from Universidad Técnica Estatal de Quevedo for the support. They are already here. I see them here. Thank you guys for your support. Whoever supports our crazy ideas, bro, they deserve a huge applause.
Yes, they do. And all of you, when I came up with this idea 5 years ago, I reached out to a friend of mine and, you know, told him what I was thinking. And I said, am I crazy? And he said, yes, you are, but it's a great idea. So it's been great. It's been wonderful having you here today. Thank you again so much. And hope to see you again for Poland, for Egypt, for World Teachers Day, for LATAM, for every one of the EFL Talks coming up. So Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, you too. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful
Elizabeth.
Sunday.
Mwah.
Same to you.
Wait a second.
Bye-bye.
Wait a second, please. Everybody, hello. Wait a second. Maybe can you please compare the slide? No problem. Maybe you compare the slide
Sharing.
because
We're
the
saying to
information was very interesting to compare to another partner, to another coworker.
We should share it through EFL Talks. The videos are going to be there in the EFL Talk website and also in the Equatisol website. So if you want to receive, you could send an email through equatisol@gmail.com and we will send the presentation to the ones who request.
Okay, Miss Elizabeth. Thank you very much. You invite me. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I need this. Okay.
Thank you.
Please keep us in touch anytime there are other kind of seminars like this.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much. We will.
Great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Miss Elizabeth, grateful as always.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Hi guys. Thank you, Miss Elizabeth. I admire you, admire all my co-workers, Mario, Andres, Deanna, all of you. Excellent